am pleased to be here in Birmingham city centre with Stephen Morley. He is the president of the Confederation of British Metalforming. Stephen, you represent companies, hundreds of companies with tens of thousands of employees in British manufacturing. You've got to be pleased that we've avoided recession with manufacturing playing a part in that.
Very pleased. We've made 8,000 more vehicles in automotive in February this year compared to February last year. It's a really positive side, and I think there's too much talk down of our economy. I think we've avoided recession now for 3 or 4 months, and the doom-mongers keep saying we're going to recession, and we keep avoiding it, so it's got to be positive.
We are in Britain's second city, our manufacturing heartland, Stephen, but you are concerned, aren't you? Many of the companies that you represent, they're not very, very intensive users of energy like steel makers that will continue to get support with their sky-high energy bills. But for many of your companies, their energy costs can be 20, 30, 40%, and they're going to lose all government support with those energy bills from today. What are the implications?
It's very serious. I think we've just mentioned automotive, and a lot of these companies are in the supply chain. If we start to fragment the supply chain, then our automotive sector, our aerospace sector, all our manufacturing OEMs will fall down. And we've got companies now who are paying probably £800,000 for their annual bill. It's going to go to 4.3 million, and that's with the EBDS, the new scheme. So it doesn't help at all. So
there is still some support with energy bills for your members, but not nearly as much as there was only yesterday.
Well, it was £18 billion I put in last year, and now it goes down to £5 billion. But that £5 billion has got a different threshold, and it's focused on high-intensity users, not the small manufacturers who we represent. There's lots of manufacturers across the country, and their energy bill is a high proportion of their turnover, as you just said, and they're getting no support or very little support. You know, it's a disaster. It could be an absolute disaster.
Do you think manufacturing companies that won't get support with their energy bills from today but still use a great deal of energy, do you worry, Stephen, that despite their resilience, despite the fact that they've been doing better than expected over the last few months, as these GDP numbers show, do you worry that some of those manufacturers may struggle to survive?
I'm afraid to say we've already seen it happen. We've had 3 manufacturers in this region, in the Midlands, go already, and that's before I expected. Coming out of COVID and Brexit, I know it seemed a long time ago, but people were struggling anyway with the supply chain issues on top of that. And this now is like, it really is the final straw to break the camel's back. Really. It really is a problem. It really is. It is. I'm surprised we've seen companies go already, but there'll be plenty more, I think, unfortunately.
And many of your companies, I know from speaking to them over recent days, they're also concerned about that hike in corporation tax that we saw in the budget from 19 to 25%. It seems to be a bit of a double whammy for small and medium-sized companies who are going to lose support with their energy bills too.
Yeah, it's a big problem. I just feel the government don't take enough credence in manufacturing. They don't understand it. They don't understand supply chains. They focus on vote-catching companies, and they don't focus on the lower level. There's far more people working lower-end manufacturing than there is in the companies to look after.
So what do you want to see the government do? Do you want to see them reconsider the fact that they're taking support with energy bills away from many of the companies that you represent? And we're talking about hundreds of companies with tens of thousands of employees.
Yes, we wrote to Kerry Badenoch and asked her to re-look at the scheme. The scheme is a botch scheme. It won't work. It won't support our manufacturers. But we've also gave them some ideas that won't cost any money. For instance, we spoke about that it only covers the wholesale cost. That's only 35% of the bill, but energy companies have been putting up all the other elements, like standing charge, for instance, over last year, and there's no regulation, and Ofgem are toothless. We need the government to step in and look at how they can control energy companies on that particular factor. I'm also very concerned about the mis-selling of contracts, where we've got members who were told if they didn't take the new contract, they would be cut off, basically. Yeah. And we've got several different examples of that. And we've asked the government to look at the contract signed between July and December last year to see if they can be renegotiated.
Renegotiated, now that wholesale prices are lower. Well, Stephen, that's a very important message from you. You are the president of the Confederation of British Metalforming. There's concern here in our manufacturing heartland, Phil and Esther, that this lack of energy support from now on for companies that aren't as energy intensive as the steel makers, they'll continue to get support, but still use a great deal of energy. That support's gone, and we have fears here for the future of firms and the people that they employ. Back to you.